Welcome to Grapes and Debates, a podcast where we'll uncork some incredible wine and debate varietals of issues within the restaurant industry, one glass at a time. Complex, yet delicate to be sure. And now, your hosts and owners of SoNapa Grille, Adam Berenger, Chris Botting, and Joe Bates.
Under SoNapa Grille,
Chris Botting,
a.k.a. C-Bot, and
Joe Bates
in
the house.
Joe Napa.
Yeah, what's up?
All right. So we always start by sampling wines. That's the grapes part of Grapes and Debates.
Awesome.
And then we're going to debate. And the grapes that we're going to try are from Gallo that are distributed to us through Breakthrough Beverage. So you kind of work sort of for both of them, and I'll let you talk about that. And then we're going to debate Gallo, Andre, Champagne, and Carlo Rossi to where they are today, which is a fucking amazing story.
It's incredible, and we still have that same saying: "We will sell no wine before it's time." That was always a trick question I used to put on my waiter tests when I did that. I'd say, "Who did it?" There was always two answers: Ernest or Julio, or else what was his name? Big actor, Orson Welles.
Oh, gotcha.
Orson Welles did a commercial.
Yes, he did. His voice was iconic.
Listen, I wouldn't know any of that. So, so anyway, the first wine that we're trying is J Pinot Gris.
Yeah, J Vineyards.
So first of all, J Vineyards, how to start, and what's a Pinot Gris?
All right, well, that's a good question. So you've probably all heard of that big cab house called Jordan.
Yes, we have.
Right. So Judy Jordan was the daughter.
Okay.
And she went to study in France, fell in love with champagne, came back to California, didn't want to join the family firm, so to speak, and started the winery out there in Sonoma. She basically put sparkling wine on the map in California. All right. She was real big on terroir, how it grows, the earth that it grows in. So she primarily grows champagne varieties, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, but she also does some wonderful Pinot Gris. She's no longer the owner of the company anymore because Gallo bought it. The principal winemaker now is Nicole Hitchcock. She was Wine Spectator's winemaker of the year.
Really?
2 years ago. Yeah, so just a great pedigree. But it's great. So Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio, to answer your question, same grape. Just a little bit stylistically different.
Okay.
Pinot Gris, if you look at it, tend to be a little bit more darker in color and maybe have a little bit more body. The word Pinot Gris actually comes out to gray grape because Pinot Grigio is actually kind of a small brown gray grape.
Okay.
So Italians are going to use Pinot Grigio. French are going to use Pinot Gris. Here in the States, we use a little bit of both depending on where you are. I think up in Oregon, it's more Pinot Gris.
Right.
In Washington.
Tomato.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we identified that Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris are the same grape. And if you see a Pinot Gris, especially J Pinot Gris, this is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
with our history, you've had it on your wine list before for
it is
summer specials.
Yeah.
It's just a great little place to crisp.
No, I mean, coming into hot season.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sitting by the pool,
This is
right,
it, right here.
Sure.
You say that, Joe, I just want
Yeah, listen.
You say that every week.
I sit by the pool a lot.
You do. You do.
And you
I
drink
drink Pinot Gris.
Okay.
A lot.
Grigio.
Grigio. Yes. So, yeah, listen, it's 5:30 Pinot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Me. So is she still involved at all? Or?
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
No. So.
And so are they mainly a sparkling house?
No, not really. Probably some of our bigger brands. We have the J Cuvée, which is real big.
Okay.
Get affordable entry sparkling. And one thing here about the USA is I don't think we drink enough sparkling wine. Usually when you go to Europe or anywhere else, you go to France, you're drinking champagne when they meet you. You go to Italy, they're drinking Prosecco when you meet you.
Yeah.
Cava in Spain. And for some reason, we have this mindset here in the States that it's a special occasion.
It can only be a toast.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, when I wake up in the morning, it's a damn special.
Oh, yeah.
Got to celebrate those. You got to celebrate
Especially after
those.
some of our nights.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
I love that.
I know. So you have been with Breakthrough. We have been doing business together for 14,
Decades.
15 years,
years,
maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, you worked with Joe.
Yes, I worked with Joe at another restaurant.
Okay.
We did.
You can mention it.
Okay, we worked at Stonewood together. I've known your family since I moved down here in 88, 89 when I worked for old Marcel at the Skyline.
Yeah, Skyline.
I know.
Skyline.
And some names from the past.
Yeah,
Greg
exactly.
Pritchett. Oh my
Greg Pritchett,
God.
mutual friends, Mike
Sure.
Forness.
Yeah,
over
yes.
at Chase's.
Yep.
So then I was dating a girl who was a school teacher. I was getting home at 3. She was leaving at work at 6, and
3 in the afternoon.
no, 3 in the morning. And so I got into the spirit side.
Restaurant closed at 11, but
Yeah.
but he got home at 3 in the morning.
He was a very popular man.
Yeah.
right.
Listen,
Everybody wanted a little Paul.
there's no truth to that.
Of course not.
2 o'clock in New Smyrna Beach, done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you
And,
got into the spirit side.
Yeah, I
of
got
it?
into wine and spirits. Was selling the whole book for roughly about 10 years, and then what we did is our portfolio got to a certain size where we split the book. It was no longer blended as we call it in the
Right.
business. So we took the wine side, and there was the liquor side. Hesitated on the wine side for a while because it's easy to sell a bottle of liquor in,
Yeah.
but it's tough to get someone to change their wine list or hey,
Right.
do a special for me or stuff
Sure.
like that. Especially as we all know, you're being in the restaurant business. I sell to restaurants. And maybe it's not the case with your restaurant because I've done some training at your restaurant, met your staff, but a lot of the staff in this area, and not just this area, all the way up to Ponte Vedra, Ocala, a lot of the staff doesn't have the education to sell wine.
Right.
So it's kind of us job as wine guys and mentors to try to teach them.
Well,
Yeah.
it's your job,
It's-
and it
yeah.
should be the owners and the
Yeah.
managers. And I can tell you that we can always do a better job of training our team, of training our people. I mean, on something as simple as what's the difference between a Pinot Gris and a Pinot Grigio?
True, but you've always had a solid training program too, Adam. I mean, you're the one who invests time taking your staff to California,
Right.
and I've seen the diligence that you and Chris and
But you bring value added to the table.
Yes.
I
I
mean
try
that's
to,
you,
yeah.
and that's what sets you apart from most of the people that
Correct.
we deal with.
So when I went into the wine, what happened is Gallo's the largest winery in the world.
Let's get some of these facts.
Okay.
They are the largest family-owned winery in the world.
That's
Absolutely.
astounding. That's astounding.
Yes.
Are they not publicly traded?
No.
No, it's all
No.
They're in
it is-
133 countries.
Yep.
Yeah.
Largest landholder in California.
Really?
When we go out there for meetings, Joe Gallo Jr. still comes out and says hello and
I love
gives
that.
a little speech and talks to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they just treat us like gold when we go out there. And
Nice.
if you go out there, which you have,
Great.
they'll treat you like gold as well.
Awesome.
I will
Yeah.
tell you that, and as we progress through some of the wines that we're going to taste, you set us up with going to Louis Martini, which this kind of leads into
Yeah.
Gallo, starting with Andre Champagne and Carlo Rossi, and really where they're at now. They do own Louis Martini. I think they purchased that back in maybe 2007. I could be totally wrong on the year. It could be 2017. We can say whatever we want.
And
Fact check us. Google.
well, no, and the thing is, Adam,
Put it in the comments.
a lot of times when people think of Gallo, they used to think about jug wine.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay, like you said, Hardy Burgundy, Livingston, Carlo Rossi,
Right.
Andre. And I remember one time you and I were sitting there tasting a bottle of wine. And I remember exactly what wine it was. It was Gallo's Signature Series. And you loved it. And you said, Paul, I love this wine. It's awesome. He goes, but it says Gallo on the front,
I
on
know.
the label.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of a stumbling block. So I want,
Yeah,
I want
Gallo
people out there
was
to
my
know.
mom's wine.
Right.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yes.
But I want people out there to realize that, hey, we're just not jug wines anymore.
Yeah.
And if you watch our business plan, we're selling a lot of our lower producing fruit off and going more for the luxury division.
Does that seem to be the sweet spot right now? The kind of $30, $50 bottles, the 25.
I think what
$40
you're seeing
bottles?
is you're seeing probably on your end, what is it, about $45, $55 a bottle?
Well, I mean, to consumer
Yeah.
from the store.
Well, I read an article about a particular wine and the price point of this wine and how it is just fucking crushing it. And it's not a Gallo product.
Right.
It's Bonanza.
Okay.
But then what the article continued to say about Bonanza, it's so approachable, and they call it, the baby Camus, but then also listing Paso and other areas outside of Napa that aren't as expensive, which is why I'm excited to try the next wine that we have, which is the Wildhorse.
The Wildhorse.
And Wildhorse has had a great name.
Wildhorse has had a great name.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now is we didn't inherit, but we bought a lot of brands from Constellation.
Okay.
And Wildhorse was one of the brands
We
from
don't pour.
Constellation.
We don't pour out here. There's no.
Oh,
We don't pour?
I don't pour.
No, we don't.
We don't
I
Yeah.
make poor decisions.
Yeah.
So
Do you?
Yeah.
Constellation
to.
decided to get into the cannabis infused business in Canada. All right. So we bought their portfolio, and their portfolio included Ravenswood, Mark West, Clos de Bois, Franciscan, and Wildhorse. And so what we did is we basically killed the Wildhorse line and reinvented it with just one SKU, and that is the Wildhorse Cabernet, all Paso juice.
Okay.
And a great brand, wine that you can do by the glass. I think that sometimes what a lot of restaurateurs do that are not correct is they always try to base their wines on percentages. So if I sell you a $10 bottle of wine, sure, do it for $10 a glass. That's your pasta wine or your pork chop, I call it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if I sell you a $40 bottle of wine or a $30 bottle of wine, you're not going to ask 120 for that.
Right.
You're going to ask maybe
It's a
85
sliding
to
scale.
75, exactly, because you can't always take percentages of the band.
Sure.
All right. And I think that when more restaurateurs like yourself do that, you'll see a more of a trend going towards those wines.
Okay.
I'm picking up fruit. Obviously,
All the way,
Paso is going
yeah.
to give you fruit. Are you getting vanilla?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting strong vanilla. I mean, it's like the first thing that I get. Damn, that's good.
I feel like there's caramel on the nose.
That's what
Yeah.
vanilla.
Okay.
It's that sweetness.
Yeah, like that,
Yes.
That
like a
sweetness
creamy-
really
And
comes.
that's the American oak.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
some of these wines right here use French.
100%
oak. Yeah.
American oak.
Yep. The Louis Martini is going to be a combination of American and French. Orin Swift always uses basically French. Different structures come from the oak. The American tends to be a little bit more, like you said, the vanilla, that creme brulee, and that
That's
French,
exactly what.
And
Yes,
that French tends to be a little
100%.
bit more of that, a little bit more refined, not as. It's a little bit more tighter the wood.
So is this Wildhorse out in the market?
It is brand new.
Okay.
In this area, I may have it at one restaurant.
But is it out in
It's not in retail. No, it's restaurant only.
really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I got to tell you, that is fucking.
It's a good wine.
It's good.
This is the first time we've tasted it.
No, it
I've
is.
been shutting my jaw.
Okay. You've been saving it for
Yeah,
today.
yes. You've been holding back.
Samples don't usually last that long in my house.
They won't last long around us
Oh, no.
either.
You know,
No, it really is fantastic.
no, it is nice and a great low price point on it.
Mm.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So the story of Wildhorse. Now we got Louis Martini.
Louis Martini. You know, Louis Martini is an iconic brand, and it actually is the flagship of Gallo.
Okay.
Is
No
it really?
kidding, really?
Yeah, it's where we're putting all of our marbles. If you ever have a chance to go to the Louis Martini facility,
It's a
Big
beautiful,
No,
a beautiful
guys-
tasting room.
No, no.
Visited?
Take it up a notch.
Yeah.
Where we went, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
They have upgraded.
Wait, they were upgrading. We've been to Louis Martini at least 4
And
times.
they've been upgrading
Yeah.
every single time.
Really?
The new facility will blow your mind. They have.
I think the last time we were out there was probably 2018.
Adam
maybe
was up there
20
last year.
no, we were just out there in
Okay,
September.
okay.
Yeah,
They have classroom theater style.
Yeah, no, they had
Yeah.
that. They
Oh,
had
do
that.
they? Okay.
They
they
had
had
that
the
back
outdoor
then.
courtyard with the cabanas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Okay.
you were,
Yep.
and I'll tell you the whole tasting room I think has evolved.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And it was, so I will say, unbelievable. But the experience, we sat in the outdoor cabana. It was the best. Now I am going on record. We were to over 50 wineries. It was the best food for the tasting.
Awesome.
Period.
Good. We're glad you had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, and to say that.
And the wines aren't bad either.
No,
We've had some
no,
great.
great.
We've had some great pairings, some great food, some great
Yeah.
chefs. So for him to say that, is pretty powerful.
No, it was funny because I was doing a wine tasting, a wine dinner at another restaurant, and Larkin was there. And Larkin never made it to the tasting because he left. I think he left the day before you guys.
Right.
But Mike from Outriggers was there too and joined you guys.
Mike from Outriggers.
And there was another gentleman there. I can't remember his name, but he said, Paul, it was just over the top, great time. We stayed there. And now if you go there, we have moved our Orin Swift tasting room from the main street, that small little tasting room, right to our old tasting room right beside Louis Martini.
Okay.
So you can kind of kill two birds with
one
stone.
So it's just right next to the property.
Speaking of killing two birds with one stone,
Okay.
Can we go ahead and?
Is there another bird that needs to be killed?
Yeah, it's the.
Okay.
I don't know what you're playing around with that wild horse.
Yeah, the Louis.
What do we got here?
No,
we haven't touched Louis.
Oh, I thought we just.
we were just finishing the wild horse.
Wild
Right.
horses.
It's a good thing we don't cut people off here.
Yeah, I know. He's making poor decisions.
Can I make one more? Yeah.
Well, no good story starts off with a good decision.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
It always starts.
It's
This one
true.
time, it was 3 a.m,
Yes.
and then just go from there.
No, one time it was 3 PM and we decided to do a podcast.
Well, yeah, when you're 50 plus.
So Louis
3 in
Martini
the afternoon.
is just a great story. Louis Martini came over to America back in 1903. And back in those days in California, his father came here first. He came afterwards. His father was a fisherman. And back in those days, he bartered. Okay, I'm going to leave a jug of wine out there, and you're going to come and pick up a jug of wine. You're going to leave me a dozen eggs or maybe a chicken.
Mhm.
And they always say that Louis Martini's first vintage was the best vinegar ever made. So his dad said, if you're serious about going back to wine, we're going to send you back to Genoa. You're going to study, and then you're going to come back. And so he went there. Instead of completing the course in 4 years, he completed it in 2 years. Came back and set up shop in California. They were smart. They saw things coming. So during that big experiment called Prohibition, they changed to sacramental wine.
Mm-hmm.
And they also sold bulk wine, bricks of it with a little sticker that said, don't add water, don't add yeast, don't store at certain degrees because it's illegal.
Yeah.
They basically gave you the recipe.
Yes.
And then when that experiment failed, thank God, they were up and running.
So when the experiment of prohibition failed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Volstead Act.
So they've been making wine under that name for that long.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And there was only been basically 4 winemakers of Louis Martini. And they were all Martini families, except for the last one we had, which was Michael Eddy.
Okay.
And Michael Eddy was a principal winemaker. He's since moved on to be the director of winemaking for most of our facilities. But we harvest this from some great vineyards, Sage Lane, Monte Rosso. We have a ghost winery that is an old, right there in the Miamis Mountains between Sonoma and Napa, Mount Peak, which just produces some unbelievable juices.
So how would you, I mean, this is definitely considerably drier.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot less fruit than the Wild Horse.
Yeah, this
is, I mean, it is Louis Napa.
Yeah.
It is a
Delicious.
great representation of a Napa cab
Yes, it is.
at the
Yes.
price point.
Yep.
Adam, absolutely. You hit that right on the nose. It is a perfect example of what a Napa cab should be.
Yes.
I'm not going to slag any other Napa cabs because I could be selling them in another year or two.
Right. Yeah.
But this has the profile of being dry, austere. It's you're chewing those tannins.
Yep.
They're not going away anywhere real
Right.
soon. A slap in a cab.
There you go.
Boom. Coin a phrase.
Well, the difference a little bit between Paso and Napa, right? So a little more fruit forward.
Typically,
in the
Passo's a
Paso,
little
yeah,
longer, so
Paso,
you're
and this tannins a little stronger and
Yeah.
can lay down a little bit longer. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the 2019, I believe it is.
Did you guys just say
Yep.
that?
No,
Did I miss it?
it's great. But it always.
Joe, are you somewhere else today? Are you somewhere else
There's
today,
a lot
Joe?
going on.
This is a pool pounder.
another pool.
Just
pad.
Well, here's the
pack it
deal.
with ice.
There's not many that aren't pool pounders, right? So
True.
Well,
We're in
true.
Florida, so you're
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
right. I didn't say it wasn't a pool pounder in December. Just saying.
Or a pool pounder at 6 PM.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a
and this
great
has
one.
been on and off the list?
Well, we've had it on our menu, off the
yes,
menu.
yeah, no,
Currently,
we've been.
So I'm going to tell you something. So Adam and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing about Louis Martini is we had different SKUs. All right, we had the California appellation, which is our entry level,
Yep.
and then we went up to Sonoma, and then we had Alexander Valley, and then we have the Napa. However, all the labels were the same. All right, so if you looked at the label, it'd be the exact same white label, and only the difference would be Alexander Valley or Napa. And a lot of people
So
come
except
by
for the
and say,
discerning
"I've
eye."
had that wine."
And unless
Right.
you
You knew
100%.
You
Right.
knew the
Because-
label. You knew what to look for.
right, because you could be in the grocery store and you see Louis Martini for
California.
$9.99.
Yeah.
$19.99, not
Yeah, yeah.
$9.99, about 19.
Okay, $19.99. But
Yeah.
then if you have
fair enough.
The
Sonoma,
Napa on your list or something else.
Right. now let's go back when we first were doing business together.
Right.
I would walk into the restaurant and the staff would look at me and say, "What do you want?" I would say, "Give me a Louis," because it
Favorite
was
wine.
Louis Sonoma.
Yeah.
There wasn't a Louis California, and then somebody made a poor decision, and without notifying us, they changed and they added that Louis California.
Yes.
So that means the grapes could be harvested from
sourcing them
anywhere.
from in California.
Correct.
Right. And so we took it off the list, and I was a little
Well, that decision
Pissed.
has been changed.
And we
I know.
hold you
So, right.
personally responsible.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I just want you to know.
God damn it, Paul.
We
But
hold you
we-
personally
I
responsible.
swear, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Drink and drive home on my car. Just met with some
I know. Yeah.
But no, so we're discontinuing the California appellation. And what you're going to see is you're also going to see a label change.
Okay.
All right. So I believe the Napa is basically just going to have the crown that we have, and that's going to be it.
Awesome.
Okay.
The Louis Martini Sonoma is also going to change a little bit in terms of the naming of it.
So there'll be discerning characteristics to each label.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and, you know,
each-
and me doing a lot of wine dinners and tastings, I'll have people come by and say, "Oh, I've had that wine." I'll be like, "No, you haven't, man. Come back.
I
It's
know.
Napa."
Yes.
And I've always said that. When I went to California one time, I was sitting there with some executives and we're having a cocktail party, and they said, "No, Paul, what you got any ideas?" And I was like, "Really?" You know,
Right.
had another rep with me, and she was tanked, and I was like, "Okay, you got to go away." And I said, "Make it a six
I'll
pack.
meet you later.
Make it a six pack.
Cut. That doesn't go. Oh, that gets edited out.
No, but make it a six pack because it's easier for me to sell a higher end wine as a six pack.
Yep.
If I go to you or you, and I say, "Hey, buy a case of wine," and you have 3 bottles on your shelf or 4 bottles, you're more likely to buy a six pack
Correct.
as opposed to a 12 pack.
Right.
And also a lot of restaurants here in New Smyrna Beach. I mean, let's face it, we're a small town.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not a small town so much anymore, but
Right.
we don't really have any chain restaurants here because we're all support locals.
Yep.
Yep.
And a lot of locals can't afford to have the storage space and the inventory. So I'm all about six packs.
So what you're saying, more or less, it's not necessarily local, it's independent restaurants, independent small
Yeah.
restaurants,
Yes,
100%. A 6-pack
Yeah.
all day long.
Right.
absolutely. And the best thing about this town being small independent restaurants is we're all friends.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden another restaurant's out of wine, I can call you up and say, "Hey
Mhm.
man, can I borrow 6 bottles of wine?" Oh, not a problem. I can call another restaurant up. "Hey, can I borrow 6 bottles of wine?"
Yeah.
And that's, kind of what I
Sure.
help.
The good thing about the community.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a really good
Yep.
community.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat that you brought that up because does the winemaker really give a shit that much about the label? He cares about the juice that's inside.
No,
It's up-
No, the
it's up
label's
to
a very
different-
important part.
But it's up to a different group of people,
but
some
some winery,
marketing people that are,
yeah.
what label goes on this,
Well,
what label goes on that.
and
Like
that's-
how much input does the winemaker say?
Well, that's a good conversation. And
Don't put the same label on my Napa as you're
And-
putting on my
You
California.
know what? All of a sudden, I think the debate went in a different way.
no, but
No,
We're
no,
debating.
no, no.
We're
still
debating
having-
fucking
no,
labels,
we
Joe.
still having wine.
Here's one thing that we're not going to debate about. I need more.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna answer your question on
New
that
wine, new
No,
wine.
no,
No,
come
on,
on.
we're
We
go-
haven't gotten there.
we're going
We
okay.
haven't got
But I'm going to answer that question in regards to the next
something
one.
shiny.
I-
Okay.
Squirrel.
oh my
Asshole.
I'm going to,
You're not getting any more.
I'm going to answer that question.
Yeah.
When we move to the next one.
Okay.
Okay.
Because when you look at
Oh yes.
when you look at Orin Swift wines, his label tell a story.
Love. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
cool.
Right. And I've done wine dinners with you before with
Yeah.
Orin Swift. So what we're going to drink soon is Abstract.
Okay.
And if you look at this,
Yes.
it's an abstract. And what exactly is an abstract? An abstract is when you take individual pieces of art and combine them together to make a new piece of art. And in this case, it's Syrah Petite Syrah Grenache. Grapes
Okay.
that stand beautifully by themselves, but when you add them together, they look great. He has a wine called
That's
Mannequin.
poetic.
This guy-
That was poetic.
This guy's
Oh,
Okay,
this guy's
okay,
good.
okay.
Wow.
He has a wine called Mannequin Chardonnay. And why does he call it Mannequin? What's a mannequin?
A caricature of a.
Mannequin.
No, it's just
human being.
it's a plain vanilla.
Exactly.
Also
host,
a great
kind of a
movie
host
from
for-
the
for-
80s.
to dress up.
Exactly. And Chardonnay is like a mannequin. You can dress it up buttery. You can
Oh,
dress-
wow.
You can dress
Here
it
we
up
go.
oaky,
I love
or
it.
you can do stainless steel.
Huh?
And that's why he calls the wine
You see
mannequin.
how he set the hook?
I know. He could have called it the blank canvas. The blank canvas. I don't know.
But no, so his stories all tell, his labels all tell a story.
Yeah, cool.
And you know what? As a wine guy, I sometimes say, oh shit, I hate labels, because people buy wine based on some labels. Well, it's a cool looking label.
Or a story behind it.
Orin Swift's first wine that he came out with was Prisoner.
Yeah.
And it had that Francis Goya picture on the front
Mhm.
that people gave to him a real cult classic, but it sold. And now when you look at a lot of other wines, whether it's Trainwrecker or other stuff like that, or just labels do sell.
Yeah.
Hopefully
They
the
do.
juice sells, but labels also help sell.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just funny how much thought goes into that.
To your point, I think what you're saying is there are smaller producers who are very involved
Mhm.
with the label that goes onto their wine.
Absolutely.
Hill Family. Remember when we had that? The
No
barrel?
family.
Barrel.
I've
barrel.
always
the
had
kid
a-
standing on the post.
So he was the one
was,
surfing, and it was where Ryan Hill
Ryan Hill, but
collaboration
I think
with.
what
It
the
was
surfer's
Ryan
name?
Hill's
Carl
son.
Knox? What's the surfer's
He was standing
name?
on that post.
Something
That was
Knox.
another one.
Yeah.
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 I'm trying to think of the surfer's name.
Yeah,
big surfer.
Local.
No, he
No,
was
not
local, but
Slater.
he was like in the barrel. That's why they call
Kelly
it barrel
Slater
blend.
or
It wasn't Kelly Slater. I think it was something Knox. I can't remember. But I have
Johnny Knox.
I have,
Johnny Knoxville. It was Johnny Knoxville.
But I have a soft spot for Hill Family.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
great wine, and their family is just
No, we have a
just
a
beautiful,
soft spot
nice
as
people.
well.
But is the soft spot the wine or is it the story?
It's a little bit of both
Right.
because I
And that's
drank
what I
the
keep
wine,
stressing on
and-
these things.
And when I first sold that one,
Yeah.
I had a ride with, and the supplier came with me, and I was like, "Hey, man, I don't know any of your wines." And he said, "Well, that's why I'm driving with you, Paul." And we went to different accounts. We came to SoNapa, and Adam's like, "Holy shit!
No,
There's not one sleeper in this one.
Right.
I want the Carly's Cuvée. I want the barrel blend. I want that, and it's just great juice. And the family, they're farmers."
yes,
Yeah.
Okay. And they're just right down the level. So if you go to their tasting room, Doug Hill might show up.
Was it Oakville?
No,
Was
no, it was Yountville,
Yountville,
and then we
that's
went
it,
from
yeah.
we went from the tasting room, and then Ryan showed up and took us to the secret garden.
Well, you know what?
It was his son's
And,
birthday.
I always,
Yes,
I always,
On his son's birthday.
I always tell people the story. I hate Ryan Hill. And why?
He's such a
because-
nice guy.
He's good looking.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful wife. He owns a winery, and he's just such a super nice guy.
Oh, you just don't own a winery.
No, I got,
You have all
I got
that.
3 out of 4.
Yeah.
I got 3 out of 4.
I looked at my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
Why, Paul? I go, 'cause he's got it all going on.
Yeah.
I can't find a flaw with this guy.
Right.
Speaking of all going on,
Wait, hang on.
Can
We're
we
going. Yeah, we're
segue?
going. We're coming. I
Can
like
we
that.
segue
We're going
into
back
this
into
abstract.
abstract. Talk about Orin Swift.
Orin Swift, Dave Finney.
Dave Finney.
So Dave Finney is the principal winemaker. As I mentioned, he was the original producer of that cult wine, or used to be cult wine called Prisoner.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dave Finney.
Now, who bought that?
Gallo owns it, but Dave Finney is still the principal winemaker.
Okay.
So
All
you,
right.
so you still produce The Prisoner?
No, we don't. Prisoner
that's-
was so
It was pulled, right? You just don't do
he
it
pulled
anymore.
So he, it's Prisoner was sold to
Constellation.
Constellation.
Okay.
And now I think it's part of the. I think it's called the Purple Wine Company or something like that. It might be.
You would know better.
I don't know.
But
that just gave me a thought.
he started off with a lot of nothing.
Purple Teeth Company.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
And
another. That's
and a lot
another.
of nothing was
That's another project.
Malbec and Zinfandel and Syrahs. When you go to California, and you guys know this, Cabernet Chardonnay King.
No doubt.
All right, so that's top real estate. You can buy some Zinfandel and some other, Malbecs and Syrahs are a little bit less expensive. So in his first year, he started back out in '95, graduated, went to work for it was Rosemont, and said, if I'm going to work this hard picking grapes, I'm going to do my own business. First year, not so much. Second year, not so much. Third year came up with that called class, was 350 cases. And then when he sold it, it was like a 4,000, 5,000 case production.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, and then he signed a non-compete disclosure. He came out with 8 years in the dev, or
Yes.
he had before.
Yep.
And how long was the non-compete?
8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hence the name.
exactly.
Hence the name.
Exactly.
8 years. Yeah.
That's
But-
a long effing time.
But,
No doubt.
but he still has carte blanche. And now that he's under the Gallo umbrella, because we're such a large and diverse company, he can source from Monte Rosso, he can source from Sage Vineyards,
Stagecoach, mention that.
Fry, anything that he wants. And I remember one time when I went to Napa and Sonoma for a business meeting, they took us out in the vineyards, and I was like, holy shit, man, look at all those dead grapes on the ground. And they said, yeah, those are Finney's rows. I said, really? He goes, yeah, he just cuts and prunes because he wants small production, but good fruit.
Wow.
And I was like,
wow. Willing to sacrifice.
yeah,
And that's money on the ground.
Yeah.
It's money on
money
for
on the ground.
somebody.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But it's quality on the vine.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's the sacrifice.
We also own Rombauer, and people.
Well, no. Let's
Which-
back
whoa,
up. Let's
whoa.
Don't take a big jump.
So
That's new.
six
right?
6
2
months
years.
ago, 6 months ago, it was announced that Gallo was buying Rombauer, which was huge news in the.
Was it 6 months ago? I thought it was like a year or two ago.
No, but-
Maybe about a year. Maybe
Okay.
okay,
something like that.
okay. Time flies when you're
Right. Having
when
fun.
you're
Drinking.
making
When
poor
you're
when you're making when you're
by the pool,
when you're making poor
decisions.
decisions.
Yeah.
The point is, Gallo known for jug wine, and
Initially.
just
Right.
and yes,
Sure.
they've evolved
Oh, yeah.
over the years. But I think when you see them purchasing Rombauer for 1.2
Two.
billion,
Yeah.
and let me tell you,
I'm sorry.
1.2 billion.
No, I thought it was more than that.
I got
No.
some big sales on Rombauer.
No,
Yeah.
1.2
Yeah.
billion.
Oh, okay.
That's significant. But
Yes.
Rombauer has just probably one of the most iconic names when it comes to Chardonnay.
Yep.
Rombauer Zinfandel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they introduced the Rombauer Sauv Blanc.
Delicious.
It is hands down one of the
Delicious.
best Sauv Blancs. And I feel bad for Papa Rombauer. If you hear this?
I love Papa,
But when
However-
you guys acquired that, for you as a guy kind of in the trenches,
It was big
was
news.
that how big? Like, were you
Well,
guys like?
I sold
Fuck
I
yes,
sold
let's
Rombauer
go.
before. And then Rombauer was our company, and then Rombauer
I
left
know.
our company and went to Weinbau.
Wine, but yes,
Okay, and then all of a sudden it came back. Unfortunately, Papa never came
I know,
back.
I know.
And we all love Papa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the small
But
group
for
that's
me,
with
you're
us,
right,
yeah.
Joe. It's kind of a game changer because there's some accounts where maybe I can't get my foot in,
But now,
but now I have Rombauer. Okay. And sometimes in our business, I use it as a leverage.
Yeah.
Well, if you want the Zin, can you give me another placement or two on
Sure.
the wine?
Yes.
But
But also-
give me that.
yeah, and us as
so-
operators, we love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
No,
get this,
call
and
the
you find me a little
squeeze.
love over here.
Yeah.
Find me a little love over here.
Yeah, we love that shit. We love that
Rombauer is certainly a feather in the cap.
Absolutely.
But you also have Jason by Faulmeyer. You've got Faulmeyer.
Hallmark. Yeah.
I mean, you've got some premium brands.
We have got some premium brands. And the good thing about Rombauer,
I mean, Orin Swift, Rombauer,
Oh,
Faulmeyer.
Hallmeyer, we are SoNapa, just
Yeah.
like you guys.
How much easier? Maybe that's the wrong term. Has your job become over the last?
Not at all. I'm a sales guy. So
Yeah.
I got all sorts of
No,
products.
they put pressure on him. Sell,
but-
sell,
Yeah.
sell.
No, listen,
Sell.
When you're selling Yugos or you're selling Mercedes,
Come on. I had
There's
a Hugo.
Joe,
No, the fuck you didn't.
to
Yes,
answer
No, you
that
didn't.
question, this Friday, I'm going to be in Jacksonville from 9 till 5, dialing for dollars, making us hit our numbers.
Yeah.
But Ron Bauer's a good
Well, I
store.
guess it's
Where in
easier to
Jack's?
sell
Jack's Beach?
a product
Not Jack's Beach,
Oh,
but
that you're
in the
passionate
office.
about.
But let's before we get off this, let's talk about
The abstract?
the juice we're drinking here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Abstract, like I said, it's a Dave Finney project. And, it's funny because Dave Finney actually has 3 different projects. He has his Orin Swift project.
Mhm.
And then we have another wine called Dave Finney Locations. You've
Okay.
probably seen that. It has like the sticker that looks like New Smyrna Beach, but it will say like F for France.
No,
or
actually, as a
ESP.
sales rep, you haven't brought that to us. I'm sorry.
If you
Just
just
kidding. I
Don't
know
show this to
exactly.
my boss.
I know exactly what the wine
can
is.
pull some
His boss is
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
His boss is watching this.
And then,
Go ahead.
then he also has a French deal. But like I said, Dave Finney's out there. He's
Yeah.
much like the cat.
Yeah.
I met him in Lauderdale one time, and I actually cornered him and just sitting there having a drink. And I'm like, Dave, man, what's going on? He's like, this is really worth it, man. I was playing baseball with my kid yesterday, and I'm like, well, I'm glad you're here. And can you sign this bottle too? I got a couple events coming up.
just happen to have a silver
Right.
Sharpie
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
But he's got a great little portfolio. We only have 2 whites. We have our Blank Stare,
Yep.
Uh,
Okay. Yes.
Sauvignon Blanc. And the reason we call it Blank Stare, like everything else, is because it's oak aged, a Sauvignon Blanc. And a lot of Sauvignon Blancs aren't oak
Yeah.
aged.
No,
They're
steel
in
barrel.
stainless
Right.
steel or
And so when you
concrete.
drink
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you get a blank stare on your face.
Yeah.
Shit, this
Right.
is good.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There you have
we
it.
talked about Mannequin. Abstract is one of my favorites because entry-wise, price-wise, it's the least expensive. And also, I love Syrah. I
Mm-hmm.
love Grenache. And this is a wine that your Merlot drinkers will like, your Cab drinkers will like, and if you have a Pinot will drink it as well. Okay, when you start getting up to his Palermos and his Mercury Heads, you're getting into big Papillons, you're getting to some really big, serious wines.
Now, this is bigger than a Pinot Noir, though.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
big,
yeah.
a lot bigger than
Oh,
a Pinot
yes.
Noir.
And
But it's a crowd favorite.
and
Okay.
and I do want to mention that a couple podcasts ago we had Chef Vaughn from the Spot, and he brought over a bottle of Mercury Head.
Mm.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was
And
good.
if you look at this, all Dave Finney's wines are 15 plus with alcohol. But you don't taste that.
No,
because
you
they're
don't.
just-
There's
they're
no
just super balanced.
There's no high heat on this.
No, there's no high heat.
no, but
Yeah.
that's why Joe's acting the way he's acting.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I'm great.
It's been a
How
long
about
day.
a food pairing on this?
Yeah.
This is great with, of course, I always say a cab ribs, shortbread ribs.
Short ribs, yes.
Short ribs,
The Korean ribs.
Korean ribs, a little
Love.
cheesy polenta or some grits underneath it to kind of add to the.
How about creamy risotto?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I always say when
Love.
I do wine tastings, birds of a feather flock together, except for rock stars and models. Okay?
Oh, really? This is new. I want to hear about this.
So if I'm drinking
Yeah,
acidic wine,
let's just go down.
Oh
this
no,
road.
let's go.
Let's just go down this road.
So
Okay.
if I'm drinking,
Cue the Motley Crew.
So if I'm drinking an acidic wine, if I have an acidic food, that wine's going to be less acidic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm drinking an acidic Sauvignon Blanc or maybe even a Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, and you give me a Beurre Blanc at your place or something like that, perfect pairing. Okay. Creamy fettuccine Alfredo, beautiful creamy chard.
Yep.
Birds of a feather flock together. With red wine, I always say, do you drink hot tea? Joe, do you drink hot tea?
I do not.
Okay. Does anybody drink hot tea?
I do.
Do you add milk or not add milk?
No.
Okay. I add milk because my mom's English.
Okay.
But why do I add milk? Because it softens the tannins and
Yes.
it makes it
Yeah,
smoother.
yes.
And that's why a lot of times we have wine and cheese parties.
Okay.
Because the dairy in that
Softens
cheese
it.
softens the tannins.
I mean, Paul,
in
this is
that cab.
Well, when it comes to an
You know,
entry
this is
level
really good stuff.
server,
Yeah.
somebody that's in the
That's
industry,
awesome.
Yeah.
what's some? Those are some great analogies
I know.
Right.
for coaching, teaching, training.
Absolutely.
Our young people,
He's
like these
value
20-somethings.
added, like I said
I
before.
know.
Always
and also,
bringing.
and also fats and steaks.
Yeah.
Slab and a cab.
Okay.
And then what I do is sometimes if I'm
I
drinking
feel like I should be writing these down.
I know.
if I'm
Replay. We'll have a replay.
Hashtag slab and cap.
Yeah.
But if
Hashtag.
I'm drinking a Pinot Noir with you, and I'm doing some training, I'll say, guys, kids,
Yeah.
whoever, I go, is this skim milk in your mouth or is it whole milk? And if it's a Pinot Noir,
Love that.
people will go, Skim.
Yep.
If we taste this,
Mhm.
Let me see.
that's whole milk, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Some people will be a smart ass.
That's
and say
heavy
2%.
cream.
Yeah.
That's heavy. That's heavy cream.
I know. There's always one in the crowd. Oh, it's 2%.
yeah.
But no, there is the
No.
viscosity of the
Right.
wine.
And it's all about
matters.
viscosity.
Did you just say
And so-
viscosity?
I did. Yeah.
This
no,
is
real
big.
bad.
Wow. I mean,
Hashtag.
What'd you score on the SAT?
Hashtag, write that shit down. Donald, that's for you.
But it's all about the weight. You know,
Yeah.
and when you look at this and start your glass and you hold that up and you look at those
I don't know. Let
legs,
me try this.
okay,
I don't know.
you see some thick legs.
It's not
And
possible
the
to have
thick
four.
legs show
Is
you
it
a
possible
little
to
bit
have
about
4
the weight of
glasses of
wine.
wine in a
Only-
15-minute podcast?
Only if you're trying.
This is more of a flight.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it flight.
But I see that heaviness.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I love your passion for what you do.
Right.
It's clear that your teaching mentality and is strong. You
Well-
obviously go into these restaurants and coach up young team members about
Well-
how to sell wine and really demystify wine.
Well, you have to.
And that's what we're
demystify it.
trying to do as a
And
group.
I'm lucky because Gallo pays for education.
That's awesome.
And I'm a firm believer of education.
Well,
So if they say, Paul, you want to take your WSET3? Sign me up.
right.
Okay. And so I took my WSET3. And
Wow.
so my position now
I thought that's
is-
why you were dating the teacher in the beginning.
Yeah, there's a couple teachers.
Okay.
I'm still being educated.
Okay.
But you know, so
And
I
have
try,
you
to, I
gotten
try to
there?
take that. So my position now is give me some sort of title. I don't
Yeah,
know what it
sure.
is. It's called ADS. I'm an account development specialist.
Okay.
And so my job now is I don't take your order. Don't
Right.
take your order. We have a sales rep who's,
Yep.
who's great in the area. My job is to facilitate education,
Mhm.
do wine lists, special dinners, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky because I get to pick and choose the restaurants I go to.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you,
And
we're
I'm glad,
lucky
Well, I'm
for
glad that I picked yours.
Yes.
the
Yeah.
relationship that we've had.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, going over, I'm sorry,
Between all of us at this table,
Over
decades.
30 years. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and what you
So-
see is what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's no pretense here. You know.
No.
And I would say to recap everything we've done, the wines, first of all, are phenomenal. And for people that are listening, Gallo has gone from barefoot. Did you own barefoot?
We still own barefoot.
You still
you
okay?
know?
From
You know what?
barefoot? No,
And listen,
Nothing
it's
against-
probably a moneymaker.
no. It's no to go from that to where we are today with the premium. I mean, we have the Louis in our restaurant. We've got the Jason by Fallmeyer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we got the Rombauer.
We've got Rombauer. We've
Yeah.
had Jay. I mean, we've done wine dinners with Jay,
Absolutely.
and
You know, and it's not just wine we're into now. We're into high noons.
right. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
We
High Noons.
also,
and by the way,
have-
what's the statistic on High Noon?
High Noon is the largest selling spirit, outselling
Tito's.
All right. I will probably do 100,000 cases of this in the month.
Wow.
Is this
Wow.
a new flavor? Didn't you bring a new flavor?
I brought a new flavor.
It
This
was-
is our iced tea.
Iced tea.
No,
Perfect for
Yeah.
the summer.
not either one of those.
It's
Well, we
perfect
drank-
for
well,
the
we
Well, we
drank-
drank them.
We drank them.
That's
We
what
drank
that was the
those.
refresher.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I will
That was
say
the
what
palate
I,
cleanser.
however, I think it was hot, especially for me. I was
Yeah.
drinking it because it was the low carbs and it was just
Absolutely.
awesome, and it still is.
Right.
But I've noticed a dip in our consumers' consumption of it. So I know there's probably a demographic that
It's
really
interesting.
drinks that.
Because it's a real strong competitive field, and a lot of it has to do with price point.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can go to, they don't have bonanzas anymore,
Mhm.
but I could go to a bonanza or someplace and get a steak. But if I come to your place and get a steak, it's going to be different than I get a steak.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to get a thin steak like that. I'm going to get a thick steak like
Right.
that. And I'm going to get someone who cooks it as not just opposed to a steak like that. So sometimes you have to pay for what you get.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that people nowadays are spending less money going out, but when they go out, they're spending more money on product that is good.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think that when they come to your place, maybe before they drank 4 or 5 glasses of perhaps cheap wine, but now they're going out and having 3 glasses of good wine. So they're making their visit count a little bit more. Is that fair?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So how's that translate to high noons? They're cranking those out in the
High
afternoon.
noons, it's, like you said, it's a tough segment. I got neutral to deal with. I
Right.
got White Claw. I got everybody wants to jump on the seltzer thing right now. But it's a Joe Gallo Jr. deal.
Awesome.
There's a lot of money behind it. A lot of for me, I've got programming and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like you're probably seeing those at beach resorts, at hotels.
You're seeing it at beach resorts. You're seeing it at higher end restaurants. The packaging's beautiful. It's a good looking package.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, back to labels and stuff like that, which sells.
Yep.
But just good juice.
Well, Paul, we want to thank you. I'm gonna top off Seabots here real quick.
Thank you, sir.
But we're gonna thank you, and
The kid, my pleasure. It's always been a great time.
we're gonna bring this to an end. Joe, you don't get any more. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
But this was great for me because it's real easy. I know Joe, I know you, I know Chris. It's more like a fun event just to sit here in the afternoon. And
It was so fun, man.
Yeah,
Listen, when Adam said you were coming, I'm like, fuck
Yeah. This would be a good one.
Cool.
So,
Your wealth of
Cheers.
knowledge.
Thank you.
No.
Joe.
Thanks, brother.
And by the way,
Appreciate it.
we didn't have to do much talking
Yeah, I
because
know.
it was so
Yeah,
educational.
I know.
It was
Yes.
really, it was awesome. So thank you.
My pleasure. I
Appreciate
you guys
you,
want.
brother.
I'm here
Love you,
for
man.
you.
That's fun.
Cool.
And we'll save the debate for next time.
Yeah, we kind of debated.
Yeah.
All right, how long do you think that was, Paul?
34 minutes.
I'm saying 44.
I would say
Thank you for listening to Grapes and Debates, presented by SoNapa Grille. For more information, visit us today at sonapa.com.